What's going on, everybody? Dr. Pittman here, and welcome to episode 22 of the Power Ranger podcast. I am your host, Dr. Pittman, of course, and here's my buddy to my right, JWR.
Hello. Welcome back. It's quite a bit to talk about today. Um, you can. We're going. We're going to dive into some of the reveals we got last month from Hasbro during Power Month and Power Morphicon. Um, we will also speculate about the upcoming. We'll talk about it when we get to it. I don't want to
Yes,
give. I don't want to give. I don't want to give everything away up front.
yes. And on the bottom, of course, it's Dragon Raider X9.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, boy. Yes, it's been a while, but we're back. We got big topics today. So, JWR, why don't you start off our first topic?
Sure. Our first topic. For our first topic, we were okay. So over the past over. So last month was effect was So last month was this was I don't know who I don't know where the name originated from, but last month was Power Month, which was basically dedicated to celebrating Power Rangers, specifically the 29th anniversary of the franchise. So over the course of, I want to say starting on like the second to last week of August, Hasbro started Power Week, in which they reveal in which every day in which they had daily reveals of new merchandise. Uh, they actually revealed quite a bit, including but not limited to. Hold that thought for 1 second. I am going to. Okay. Including Dino Thunder Yellow. There's
Okay, let me
Dino
get
Thunder Yellow. Yeah. Oh, yep. Jesus.
I
Sorry. It's
really need to rewatch Dino Thunder at some point. I haven't
I
seriously
forgot.
sat
I
down to watch
forgot
it in
to
like
add your
two
string to
decades
it.
ago.
Whoops. All right.
it's a good one. Anyways, they also revealed. So there was the Dino Thunder Yellow. They actually revealed I think two collaborations with two new collaborations from like Street Fighter, which is, for those of you who don't know, Street Fighter, Chun Li and Ryu from Street Fighter were featured in the game Power Rangers Battle for the Grid.
Oh wait, they were actually in the comic.
I think they were in the game. In the game,
I,
I think that
Oh,
it was they
yeah, I
were
think
in. It's a game
the
in the
game.
game.
Yeah, they were in the
sorry.
game.
There's so much of this stuff that I didn't keep up with, so it all kind of blurs together in my head.
Right.
Right.
There was also lighting collection, Mighty Morphin Snizzard. Unsurprisingly, unsurprisingly, majority of the monsters have been from Mighty Morphin. But there was so we got another official look at Wild Force Blue. He had been, I think they revealed this figure back in May, but they finally gave a close look at the figure that I forget what day it is, but we got another look at it. And we also got Time Force Blue. Hey, only took them about 2 years to get to another Time Force character. But what's unique about this figure is that it comes with a vector cycle.
Ooh,
Huh.
yeah,
Okay, that's actually a selling point.
that
Yes.
is.
No, I know. I didn't notice that they had Gatling guns on the side.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, to be honest, to me, the figures look very nice. I
Yeah.
definitely like the Kira one from Dino Thunder. It looks
Yeah.
nice. You got the Terra grips, you got the helmet, got the morpher down, and they
Everything
actually,
except for the Thundermax. They have just about everything except for the Thundermax saber, which is kind of
yeah,
odd since the other two figures come with Thundermax sabers. But
I
whatever, it is what
like
it
how
is.
posable they are. Like
Yes.
they got the Max Wild Force guy and he's just doing the shark pose.
Yeah.
And you understand, most of my experience with action figures comes from very early in my life. They tended to be stiff without that many points of articulation.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, let's pull it. In fact, let's pull a pic. Let's pull up another picture of it.
All right. Pull it up. That's true.
Because why not?
Yeah, why not? Of course.
Here's the figure in the box.
I mean, the box art looks very nice.
Yes. Now, I think it's worth noting that soon they're going to start doing away with like the plastic the bubble covers, and that there's going to, I forget which figure they're going to start doing it with, but they're going to start, these figures are going to start coming in like cardboard boxes where you don't, without a view, cut. The figures are going to start coming in cardboard boxes without like a clear view of the action of the figure or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Interesting indeed, yes.
See, because I'm not a collector of action figures, but I've always kind of gathered that they're less for taking out of the box and more for posing where people can see it. And it feels like not having a viewport to the toy from outside the box defeats the purpose of that.
I think it's in an effort to save. I think it's in an effort to save money or conserve plastic or whatnot.
Ah.
I forget the exact reasoning, but it's one of the two. The one thing that I will miss about them doing away with the plastic with the viewport boxes is the artwork on the artwork by Tom Whelan. I think that's the guy who does the name of the guy who does the art for these boxes.
Looks
That's
nice.
good.
Yeah, very nice.
You know, sometimes you forget because you watch Power Rangers often enough, but like Max's helmet just looks like a shark head with little teeth over the visors, and that's fun.
Right.
I like the design of the blue shark fighting fins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks nice. Look, Max's the way they detailed Max's face, it's good too.
Yeah. I guess if I wanted to be super anal and nitpicky, I could make a comment about how the hilt of the crystal saber isn't about the color of the hilt, but aside from that, the figure still looks great.
I mean, on the one hand, it feels like the kind of detail that shouldn't be that hard to get right, but also I don't really care.
Right. It's a small and trivial thing anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof.
Honestly, I'm just I've gotten to the point now where I will like if it's a season other than Mighty Morphin, like it's there. Sorry, I had something in my throat. I've reached the point now where whenever there's like a new Lightning Collection figure revealed, I like anytime it's from a season that isn't Mighty Morphin, I'm happy. I don't know if that says more about how about how my expectations have changed or about how dominant this one season has been in the merchandise. It could be a combination of both.
Given what we're going to talk about later this episode, I feel like we're definitely going to talk quite a bit about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and its impact.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, you know.
Yes.
Of course.
Spoilers, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Aside from that, I think we've talked about that ad nauseum.
Yes.
We have, but it's also extremely relevant to what we're talking about today.
Yes. Yes.
So it does behoove going over it a little bit at least.
Right. So I guess that leads us to our second and main topic of the show, So on Sunday, August 28th, um, National Power Rangers Day, on the last day of the Power Morphicon. Um, E1 and E1 released a video. Okay, wait. Actually, no. Wait. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Before we even get to that, so on the 20 on August 22nd, like the beginning of Power Week, we learned from the official Power Rangers Twitter that the back half of Dino Fury season 2 will be airing will premiere on Netflix in the US on September 29th, while international broadcasters launch season 2 throughout September.
I have a question. Who's someone who hasn't been following this on Netflix so far? Are they gonna dump all the episodes at once or do like a weekly release?
I give
That's a
give
good question.
give I hmm, given how they handled the front half of season 2, I think they might do the same here.
Yeah,
Might.
Yep.
Most likely will.
yeah, my.
It stands to reason.
Yeah.
I do hope it's a weekly release. I'm just really not a binge watcher anymore.
I'm not either.
Mm,
That's the one that's kind of that's so as of so far at least that might be the biggest draw. Power Rangers now becoming now moving into streaming. The weekly release it the I guess the end of the show coming out on a weekly basis.
Hmm. Like it'll give us time to talk about each episode.
Right. At least the end of weekly releases when it comes to currently airing seasons, because on the official Power Rangers YouTube channel, they like they upload batches of episodes of older seasons by a weekly basis.
yes, this could be good.
Could be good.
But to be honest, I'm still gonna be hype about Dino Fury returning.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
I'm finally almost caught up with the whole series so far. I like it. Some of my
Yes.
I've thought things, I've come up with things, and I'm not
Yeah.
gonna sit here and say it's my favorite season ever,
No.
either one or two, whatever. But I am more or less invested in this series in a way I haven't been in a long time, and I'm happy
Right.
for that.
I think I kind of echo your sentiment, because while I wouldn't say it's my absolute favorite season of all time, this is definitely the most that I have enjoyed and been invested in a season of Power Rangers since RPM.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is as good as RPM, but not since RPM have I been this like invested in what's going to happen next and how it all ends.
Like I liked Dino Charge. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad I watched it, but it also generally wasn't something I was waiting each week with bated breath to see what was going to happen next.
Right. It mostly I I think it kind of benefited from like the I want to say like the oh it bent I think it benefited from coming out immediately after Megaforce.
Yeah,
Benefited somewhat, yeah. Like I think I forget what the saying is, but it almost certainly benefited from like those lowered expectations. Which isn't to say the Dino Charge isn't good. It is. It's
it is.
good.
It's
It's fun.
it's easily the best season of the Neo Saban era.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
Like
is.
that's a little bit of what they call damning by faint praise, but I sincerely recommend giving it a watch if you're a fan of Power Rangers.
Mhm.
Heck,
Yes.
it even managed to surprise me. Like like a lot of people, I thought Sledge was dead at the end of the first season, but then he suddenly shows back up near the end of the second, completely wails on the guy who was setting himself up to be the real big bad. Is like, no, this is my town. And I had so much fun with that part. I didn't realize I was that invested in Sledge and that this show could make me that excited.
Right.
So like they were clearly doing something right.
Yes. And also the fact that they brought back Lord Zed and Dino Fury really surprised me.
Given our next topic, I think we now know why. But we'll get to that.
Yes.
We have our speculations, but oh
We'll do
boy.
that for another week.
Yeah. Other week is fine. Oh.
So
man.
basically, we know for a fact that the next season is going to be called Power Rangers Cosmic Fury,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that for the first time since the Zordon era, our current set of Rangers are going to move past the Dino Fury setup and continue on to the next season.
Yes.
Ooh.
Now, before we go in depth on that, ever since Power Rangers came to Nickelodeon, they've been splitting up into half season, like the like older episodes. I'm sorry, I cannot get my words out today. But older seasons of Power Rangers would run from, well, eventually they got down to like 32, 33, but they generally averaged about 40 episodes.
Right.
And
Episodes
now,
that would. Oh,
and from Samurai onward, they were all about 20 episodes with maybe a couple extra.
in part because I think because of the way Nickel because of the I think there's like a limit on the amount of episodes that certain shows on Nickelodeon are allowed to air for any given show.
And like, if nothing else, I hope this makes actually filming Power Rangers less stressful for everyone involved. I don't know that it is, but I hope it is.
Hopefully.
I forgot to mention, don't forget the super seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's basically the same thing. Like, the super seasons were always the part 2.
Right.
And if I'm honest, I'm kind of glad they moved away from that
I am too.
branding, because it felt increasingly arbitrary as early as Megaforce, and then they just kept doing it, and I don't think it was ever necessary.
No, it even kind of felt a little bit arbitrary when they did it the first time with Samurai.
Yeah, it did. But at least they did coincide it with a new Super Samurai mode.
Right.
Yeah, I like it.
Not something I would name a season after personally, but it's something.
Right. Yeah. So at the panel, so I guess more into Cosmic Fury, we also found out that in addition to the cast returning for Cosmic Fury, current showrunner Simon Bennett would also be continuing to shepherd the show into its 30th season, which I'm also happy about.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting thing is that this we got answers to some of the questions that we had regarding the 30th season, and yet in an odd way, some of the answers that we got only raised further questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So like we know the title of the next season, and we know the cast, but we don't really know much else. Now granted, that's in part because Dino Fury season 2 is probably going to lead directly into Cosmic Fury, and you
can't really explain the premise of Power Rangers in space without ruining the ending of without spoiling the ending of Power Rangers Turbo.
Yeah, so I suspect that's kind of part of it.
Uh-huh.
So now, I mean, at first I kind of found it a bit odd that those are the questions that we had that we now have answers to, but I guess like the one big question, though there are the question that we don't have an answer to. Well, the big one is that we don't know whether or not this next season is going to be an adaptation of Sentai or something completely original. But going back to the thing about what we said earlier, I suspect that whether it is or isn't an adaptation of Sentai would give potentially unveil spoilers about how Dino Fury season 2 ends.
Of course.
So first off, and this is where I'm sitting from this, I would be very, very surprised if it was a wholly original season.
As would
Just
I.
just because of the money involved.
Right.
Yes.
Like this series has always been based off trying to save money by adapting existing footage into new stuff.
Right.
And they've kind of played around with that. We've had seasons that used less of that for various reasons. We had seasons that used maybe a bit too much of it at places.
Right. Two varying results. And I think it's worth noting that some of the times that they have like either like taken massive liberties with the Sentai, or I want to say maybe departed from the original Sentai storyline. It has usually those were most of the times it is usually in some of the more tumultuous productions for the show. See Lost Galaxy and RPM. That's not to say that I like that's not to say that it's a guarantee that they'll use another Sentai, but they definitely have more reasons to stick with the script than not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd have to have some kind of really special idea that really made the executives happy. And I can't imagine that would be the case unless they somehow convince the executives that, hey, we're going to start doing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers numbers again. And they're just not.
Right. Especially knowing given that they're now basically under, especially knowing how Netflix kind of likes to be a smidge. Like I feel like the key to success when it comes to like being on Netflix is outside of reviews is outside of okay, there's three factors that decide the fate of Netflix shows, which are like reviews, budget, and ratings. And while Power Rangers does have a loyal and devoted fan base, I doubt that it's really pulling in major numbers for Netflix. Like, I mean, we have seen reports that the show is doing well among its intended audience, but I don't know if it's pulling in the numbers that would justify spending a lot of money on filming original footage and whatnot.
In a lot of ways, Power Rangers is like the Pokemon anime. It still has a loyal, dedicated following. It still appeals to the target demographic, so you have the newcomers coming in, but you're never going to recapture that initial zeitgeist. You can't.
No. Right. Now, granted, I am sure that they're going to do something big and lofty for the 30th season and 30th anniversary, but I doubt it's going to be on I doubt you're going to see them spending like $200 $100+ million on suits and special effects and sets. Like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I guess for those reasons and more, I think it's a smidge bit too early to say whether to know if it's what Sentai they're using or if it's going to be completely original. But for now, we'll put an asterisk under it for now.
Yes.
If I may, I kind of wanted to elaborate on that because, and I know I'm probably echoing what a lot of people have been saying at this point, but I have a suspicion what I think Sentai they're going to use and why. And you probably know exactly what I'm about to say too.
I think I do.
I believe that they are going to adapt Kyuranger. And I have a couple specific reasons for this.
Go ahead.
Now, I haven't seen Kyuranger, but I basically understand that it's a space-themed Sentai that is what they start with like 10 Rangers and then eventually get 12.
I think they start with 9, and then that number goes up to 12 at the end.
Ah,
So it's
and
basically like, I'm sorry to cut you off, but so it's basically trying to be like a Dino Charge or somewhat.
Kind of, but
kind of, except
more.
like Dino Charge had its regular 6 Rangers, and then you had like Prince Philip and James who would come in for special occasions. Wing, I honestly forget what all happened with him after he turned good, but it was super late. And most of the time, the mentor, Doctor, what was her name? Doctor. Oh my
Dr.
God.
Morgan Kendall?
Yeah, her.
Yeah.
She didn't go into the field that often. So
Right,
despite having the whole, hey, we have 10 Rangers, really they had 6 Rangers and some bonus Rangers for special occasions.
right,
That's different than what I understand Q Ranger to be. And from what I understand, one of the most common criticisms is that a lot of the Rangers in that season don't really get time or focus, and they end up feeling kind of bland as a result.
yeah,
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing they would always struggle with in adapting Q Ranger at all,
right. Plus the
unless
fact, oh, I was gonna say, oh,
unless they front load this by having, hey, those 9 Rangers we're starting with, you already know and care about 6 of them. You've had 40 plus episodes to get to know them, which leaves
right,
the other 40 to get to know the other half. There, this is basically the only way you're going to have that room to not run into the Q Ranger problem.
right.
The way I see it.
Potentially, but like potentially 7 if depending on what they do with Void Knight slash Tarek. Possibly. I mean,
True.
possibly.
That is definitely a possibility.
Right,
Like we've seen a lot of crazy things with Power Rangers.
right,
Anything's within the realm of possibility, and that's kind of what makes it fun.
right. Hell, it wouldn't even be the first time a former villain has gone on to put on the spandex in another season.
Oh my god, that's true. I hadn't even thought of that, but you're right.
Holy crap.
And it won't even be because of leukemia this time.
Right, right, right.
Jesus.
Hopefully not.
That production, I swear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's isn't I don't I if I had a nickel for every time a well-regarded season of Power Rangers had a previous production, I'd only have 2 nickels, but it is weird how it's happened twice.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like I'm pretty sure like there were reports of like it was like I think they went over budget. One of the actresses had to step away from the show. There was almost a lawsuit because one of the actresses was supposed to take her place, but that ended up not happening. There were
Yeah, well, as I understand it, for anyone not familiar, we're talking about Power Rangers Lost Galaxy again, and their first Pink Ranger was effectively killed off for a while because her actress had leukemia. And as a positive note, because we could all use a little bit more positivity, while the early years of the PR production staff has certain horror stories, one of the good things they did is they left. I forgot all the names of this character and the actress.
Valerie
Ken-
Vernon, the actress who plays
Kendrick.
Kendricks.
Yeah, that's it. They left her in the opening credits even after her death because that way the actress would continue to draw a paycheck to help pay for treatment.
Yes.
And that's just a nice story.
Yes.
Yes.
But anyway, there was the question of who's going to take her place. Rumor has it they basically filmed an entire episode with the Pink Ranger from the previous season in
Cassie.
space,
Cassie.
and that ended up falling through. I do believe that's the potential lawsuit you were talking about.
Yes.
Eventually, the former villain of In Space, Astronema, now Corone, ended up taking up the mantle of Pink Ranger.
Mhm.
But there's an episode with her and Damon where if you told me that this episode was originally written with Cassie in mind, I'd believe it.
Right.
Yeah.
So tumultuous production. The other reason I'm kind of suspecting they're going to lean into Q Ranger is this see Dino Fury, despite being Earth based and dinosaurs and knights, has always had a bit of a space bent to it in a
Yeah.
way we haven't seen in Power Rangers in a long time.
Yeah. Lots of it almost kind of feels like a what's the word? It almost sort of feels like a I don't want to say an alt I don't want to say like a remake, but like a slight reinterpretation of like In Space almost.
Which actually is kind of hilarious when you think about it, because in this case, In Space was the follow up to Turbo, but this time it's not the follow up; it's the setup.
Right.
That's fun.
Oh yeah. Also, wait, no, which is I had a point I had a point I was going to make, but like, oh wait, that's right. It would which would also also kind of funny since since the actually no I lost. Wait, I thought I had a point and then I lost it. Maybe it'll come back to me later. But
Happens all the
yeah,
time. I know you feel.
right
Oops. Sorry.
now it so yeah I think it could I think it's either that or Cure Major, but at this point, it's a top it's kind of a toss up at this point.
I mean, I'll grant you, I could be wrong. There's a lot we don't know. But if someone came up to me and told me, "Hey, I need you to bet money on something," I'd probably bet on Q Ranger.
Right.
The other detail is, as Dante previously mentioned, Dino Fury in one episode revived the evil spirit of Lord Zed,
Yep. Yep.
who's just out and about now.
Right.
And like you have to figure he's out in space somewhere, which, if I may, is probably another reason to go the Q Ranger route. I'm just saying.
Right.
But the theory, or at least the most common speculation, is that Lord Zed is going to be the main villain of Cosmic Fury.
Yeah.
And like
Which
it's not a bad assumption to come to.
right.
Like, again, they could do something else entirely. Maybe
Right.
maybe they're doing this to make us think where they're going to do something, and then they're going to hit us with a curveball.
Right. Maybe he's the bad guy for like an episode for like one arc or one episode, and then the actual villain of the season shows up. Who knows? Although
Yeah,
it would.
maybe it'll just kill Lord Zed in one shot to establish their dominance.
Oh, that too.
Like, man, wouldn't that just be surprising? And this is what I was talking about earlier about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like, Lord Zed is like the big villain from the series history.
Yes.
The only other one on par with him is the original Rita Repulsa,
Right.
and he was originally introduced as her boss.
Mm-hmm.
He has a great design.
Right.
He can be super intimidating when he wants to be. He can also be a lot of fun when he wants to be.
Yes.
And of course, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And of course, he is voiced by the late great Robert Axelrod. Rest in peace.
Yes. And rest his
That's
soul.
true. I will say the new voice actor actually does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Like, it's just one of those sad things. People get old.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they just aren't around. They retire. It's a thing. Like, we've all had 20 years to come to terms with the fact that we're never going to see a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers reunion. Not a
Yeah.
complete one. We
Yeah.
It's a shame, though.
Yeah.
To be honest.
But
Yeah.
the thing with Lord Zed is he's something that kids cared about in the 90s. I don't know that kids in the 2020s give a crap about him. Their parents probably do, and that's probably a fun thing for them to share with their parents. But the kids themselves, I don't know.
True,
And I
but
and I was
right.
thinking about this, and I was thinking back to the last episode we did, Forever Red. And
Mhm.
I won't belabor long on this because we talked that one to death. But there actually is one minor detail that none of us thought to bring up.
Oh, what is that?
They did an episode about the remnants of the Machine Empire, and they didn't use the existing characters that they could have, namely Prince Gasket and Archerina,
Right,
who, as far as we know, are still alive somewhere.
right. Although their influence within like the council of the other villains is definitely greatly diminished after the end of Zeo.
True, but you got to figure, story about the Machine Empire coming back, that sounds like it's the way to go on paper, but I think
Right.
there's a couple reasons why they didn't. Why they used the 5 Beetleborg suits instead.
Mostly money.
Okay, money, but that actually wasn't one of them. One of them is just for the action scenes. With 5 enemies, you could pair off the Rangers against them and make for some fun, memorable action bits. And I feel like if you have like 10 Rangers against 2 guys, some of them are going to get lost in the shuffle. You're probably not going to have room for Arako doing ninja tricks.
Right. Although, yeah. Plus, not to mention, it would like as much as I enjoy the character of King Mondo, I'm not exactly you get a lot of what's the word, dynamic action sequences with a guy with that.
No, not Mondo. His son, Prince Gasket.
Oh no, Gasket. That's right, Gasket.
And his love interest, Archerina.
Right.
And the other reason is, well, as I kind of said regarding Lord Zed, new kids watching Wild Force at the time would absolutely not know or care who Prince Gasket is. And one
Right.
episode is not enough time to make them care.
Right.
So the best thing they could do is, it's a callback to previous seasons, but at the end of the day, the villains are just fancy bowling pins to be knocked down.
More or less.
And
Now,
and that,
yeah.
I wasn't really going to say anything of substance. Go ahead.
They're just something. They're basically just there because the Raiders need somebody to fight.
Right.
Right. Now, if I could argue like a quick sort of rebuttal or like kind of counterpoint, it's true that newer fans for whom Dino Fury might be their introduction to Power Rangers probably won't know anything about Lord Zed or the history or significance he's had during the franchise. But consider this. Consider that there were some people for whom Wild Force or for whom Ninja Storm or Dino Thunder was their introduction to the franchise, who knew nothing about Tommy Oliver. And then you had episodes like Legacy of Power and Fighting Spirit to fill in the gaps for people to fill in the gaps for newcomers, to inform people, hey, this is who this character is. This is why he's important. This is what he's been up to. This is why he's here. Something like that.
It's actually really apt that you brought up Dino Thunder, because if they really want to go the way of making Lord Zed work as a main villain in 2023, they need to basically do what they did with Tommy. And I don't just mean necessarily having, clip shows or flashbacks or any of that, though those certainly help. I still can't believe they just showed a full-on flashback of that time he had evil Rangers that did nothing and turned back time just because he can.
Right.
Like, that's fun. But anyway, what Dino Thunder did with Tommy is they made him an essential part of the season.
Yes.
Even if you're a newcomer, even if you've never seen Power Rangers before, you don't know what the Green Ranger was, or the White Ranger, or the Red Zeo Ranger.
Or the Red Toy Ranger.
Yeah, but they actually didn't bring that up.
Right.
But the point is, new viewers are going to know who Dr. Tommy Oliver is because of his importance to Kira, Ethan, and Connor.
Yes, as
Yeah.
well as the villains of the show.
True. There's a lot of connections going on. You cannot have Dino Thunder the way it's currently set up without Tommy, and that's what makes it work.
Yes.
Yes.
And the problem thus far is that there is no meaningful emotional connection between Lord Zed and any of the Dino Fury Rangers.
Except maybe Ion, who except maybe Ion, but we haven't but as of now we haven't seen how he's connected to Ion. So that could be one of the through lines if Lord Zed ends up being the villain for Cosmic Fury.
Oh, hold on. Maybe I just forgot something. There's still a couple episodes left for me to catch up on. What's this about Ion?
Oh, I think it's the second episode after he's introduced.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I've gotten that far, but like
Oh,
it turns
right. The Morphin Masters had him there, and they suggested that he might be the counter to Lord Zed or something.
right. And I think they've throughout the season throughout season 1 and 2 they've vaguely hinted at about Zed being a crucial part or being tied into Ion's backstory.
And that's actually kind of where I was going. By the way, remind me later. I want to say something about the Morphin Masters.
Right.
But to me, the most obvious thing to do, and maybe it's too obvious, but I think it would work, have whatever happened to Rathcon be a result of something Lord Zed did centuries ago.
Oh god, that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Wait,
that
no,
way,
seriously, it does. No, seriously. Like
right?
the whole right, like it like having the main bad guy of the first Dinosaur theme season having a larger role or being tied to the developments of the current Dino theme season, and like with the way the timeline is working out now, I think with the way it's set up now, the Dino Fury Rangers were I think they were like the first or so Ranger team on Earth, and there's basically it would be a fitting and like clever connection if they can pull it off.
It would. And plus, I do just love the idea. Like Lord Zed would probably not have it. Would probably need some time to remember what Rathcon even was, because he probably has so many conquests.
Right, it's like you killed you destroyed my whole planet and killed my people. Which one?
Also, I love how that sounds like something Power Rangers wouldn't do, but they've already done that at least once.
Right. It's like do you have the slightest idea how little that narrows it down?
And I think that would work because
Mm-hmm.
in general, Power Ranger villains tend to lean more towards either trying to be interesting characters, like say Ransik or Jared, or being big, overwhelming evil forces like Emperor Grum or Venjix. Now there are some exceptions. I guess Mesagog is the former category. Lothor's his own thing. We love Lothor.
Yes.
But with Lord Zed, he's definitely the latter. He's not going to be the driver of a major character driven story. He's the big bad devil guy here to kill everything.
Right, more or less.
And I think leaning into that is probably the way to go, unless they actually have something in mind to expand what we know about Lord Zed. Which maybe they should go that route. That could be interesting.
Now watch as they somehow find a way to bring back Thrax and actually.
Don't get me wrong. The But once a
Max,
ranger,
He
the
did
back,
want kids.
right. Oh, I don't know if any of you have seen The Boys, but oh god.
I haven't, I'm afraid.
I have not
Oh,
seen The Boys.
oh, okay. There's a certain plot point that just like when I brought it up, my mind immediately went to that. Never mind. Anyways, um, it's really kind of up in the air at this point. Like I said, we now know more about Cosmic Fury than we did say at we knew more about Cosmic Fury at the end of August than we did like before that, but there's still lots of questions. And I suspect that okay, I think Hasbro PulseCon is what, late September, early October. Either way, I think we will learn more. We will slowly learn more about what their plans are as we get closer and closer. You had you told me to put a pin in a point regarding the Morphin Masters.
Oh yeah, the Morphin Masters. So I've talked about them before. I haven't read any of the comics, so I know nothing about them from there.
They actually okay.
But at the moment, they're basically being used as a vague, all mystical force from which Power Rangers spring or something. Like, they're like a governing force that watch over everything, and they're
Right. They
which
were
I've always kind of been mixed on because I
right.
didn't know how to feel about it.
I
And all
think
the characters kind of reacted to it with like they just kind of smile, nod, say, "Yeah, wow, the Morphin Masters," and that's not interesting to me.
right. Although right. Actually, I think they were introduced. They were briefly introduced in like back in Mighty Morphin, but nothing was ever really done with them until the comics, and then now this.
I always forget that.
Right.
But
On it. Don't feel bad. The show so did the franchise for a while.
that's true. But the point I'm trying to get at is, near the end of season 1 of Dino Fury, they finally did something that made me kind of interested in the Morphin Masters.
Hmm.
And it was a small thing. A small, I don't even want to call it an interaction, and that's the point. So the Rangers have lost their powers briefly because of a thing they did,
Hmm.
and they try to fight Void Knight Unmorphed for a while.
Oh, right. That the end of season 1.
And I think at some point they think they actually defeated him, or was this before that? Anyway, the Green Morphin Master shows up as like, "You guys aren't done yet, so I'm putting your powers back." And like, if that was it, that would feel really cheap.
Right.
But here's what they do. Zato walks up and goes, "You're the Morphin Master. Can you tell me what happened to Rafcon?" Because like this guy really wants to know what happened to his home planet. I don't blame him.
Right.
And the Green Morphin Master says nothing. He, she, they just turn around in midair and float back into the portal.
Right.
And this is the first real sense that anyone has had a human reaction to the Morphin Masters.
Yeah. It's
And-
almost like that. I want to say it's almost like near the end of the second Matrix movie when Neo finds the architect or okay. I don't know if anyone's gonna get that reference. So basically,
is that the scene where he's talking with the old guy in the room with all
the architect.
I should really sit down and watch The Matrix one day.
Yeah. That scene with the old guy is in Reloaded, but yeah. So basically, like I don't know, I like the idea of characters of terrestrial characters in TV shows, like or just the characters that we've been following in Interstellar TV show, like interacting with like this with like cosmic beings and asking questions about why they made certain decisions, like why. I don't know why. Like I've always just found that trope or this idea kind of. I've always just kind of enjoyed that trope,
Yeah, I get that.
mostly because like it opens up a lot of. I didn't mean to cut you off. Like,
So
sorry,
go ahead.
like I don't know why. I usually those scenes are really potent for like in interesting discussions and like answering questions that the audience likely also has. And I think and okay, so I think the trailer for Dino Fury for the back half of Dino Fury season 2 showed that the Rangers okay, it's not a spoiler, literally in the trailer. So basically the Rangers are going to RAFCON. So there will so some, if not all of these questions of all the questions that we're posing will likely be answered in the second half of this of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And I have a sneaking suspicion. No, scratch that. A very strong suspicion that we will not be through with the Morphin Masters at the end of Dino Theory.
I'm inclined to agree. And like I bring all this up because I'm actually kind of interested to see what they do with the Morphin Masters now. There's a
Right.
potential conflict now. You know, a hero who's desperate for answers and a mentor like figure who is cold and impersonal.
Right. Kind of like, well,
Like just the implication that they might not really care about the emotional turmoil any of the Rangers are going through creates the potential for stories to be told.
right.
And
Not
that's
just
something
that,
the
right.
Morphin Masters were lacking up until this point.
Right. Not just that, but like cosmic indifference to like the to I guess the to the response to the response to I guess the sacrifice that previous teams have had to make, or the like cosmic indifference to not just the turmoil of our current team but past teams, range or the previous team of Dino Fury Rangers before the ones in the show. Very
It's
yeah.
interesting.
Yes.
Was there anything else I was going to say?
Very
Oh,
Rick
I
and
actually
Morty.
do. It's back on Cosmic Fury.
Sure.
And this is the kind of thing we've talked about before, but I feel it absolutely bears repeating because a few days ago I was casually browsing through YouTube and one of the videos that was recommended to me was basically like why Cosmic Fury is going to be the biggest season ever. And with no disrespect to whoever it is made that video, I didn't look, I didn't care. But that is exactly the kind of thinking we need to not engage with.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but
No. You no. I think you. I'm sorry. I think you phrased it the right way. I think that the danger of getting caught up in your expectations, or rather, okay, it's like it's fine. It is perfectly fine to speculate and theorize, like kind of what we do on this show. Like have guesses about how you think the story's going to go, what they're going to do next. Like that's fine. The danger comes when you either a set your expect when you get too lofty with your expectations, or you become so attached to them that they basically become like a prerequisite. Like if it doesn't go down exactly the way you theorize or guessed it, you end up setting yourself up for disappointment, and you start judging the show for not being what you wanted it to be versus judging it for what it actually is.
and as ever, we have I've said it countless times, Megaforce. I
Right.
don't think I would have been a big fan of Megaforce regardless. I sincerely think it has some flaws that would at least turn me away from it. But what really hurt is that and at least part of this is this show was not shy about billing itself as a big anniversary season. Hey, see this big fight scene with every ranger ever. We are going to
Right.
tease you with it, not just in the commercials, but in the show itself.
Right. Actually,
But part of it, yeah, was me getting ahead of myself and just expecting the moon when we were ever going to climb a mountain.
right. Actually, no. You bring up an interesting point because so far at least, most of the anniversary seasons or the seasons that have fallen on like anniversaries have either initially fell victim to or were victims of of like un, lofty expectations. Like Turbo was seen as a step down after Zio. Wild Force at the time was kind of seen as a disappointment because of how popular because for many people it didn't live up to Time Force. Operation Overdrive kind of struggled with meeting fan expectations because the writers had interesting ideas but had too many than they knew what to do with, and maybe didn't have the budget to be as ambitious as they wanted it to be. You
Mhm.
already brought up the struggles that Megaforce had by adapting Gokaiger and bringing back every Power Ranger ever. I don't think, and I don't think anybody had any kind of major expectations for Super Ninja Steel regarding the 25th anniversary. It's kind of funny how like the
It's the best.
how Super Ninja Steel and broke kind of kind of broke that trend by virtue of there not being a lot of expectations for that season to begin with.
True, but if I'm honest, what kind of expectations were in place for Operation Overdrive? Because I feel like a lot of people, like I think Mystic Force had its fans, but I don't think it was as well liked as SPD was before it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'd say like in compare, like no, actually no, you're right. I think
I make explicitly this point because I wasn't expecting any kind of anniversary thing in Operation Overdrive until they started advertising Once a Ranger on TV,
right,
yes.
which I did tune in for, and it's hardly flawless, but I have fun with it.
right,
Yeah, I
yeah,
have fun with it too, to be honest.
right.
And JWR, you said when our top 10 Green Rangers was on the other episode we did. Episode we did. And Dragon Raider, I know you weren't here for this, but in our top 10 best Green Rangers, you said if Sander would have been the Red Ranger.
Yes, I did say that. I did kind of
And
make a point about how Xander kind of ended up being the like. It's funny how I made a point about how most of the problems that stem from Mystic Force were either a direct or indirect result of how Nick was handled. Like I really do genuinely think that if they had either done a better job with handling Nick or just had Xander in or I really do believe that if you had made Xander the Red Ranger, like have the character as is, but make him the Red Ranger, it would I don't it,
it would have been a stronger season.
yeah,
I do actually remember some of Xander's stories.
yes,
I've seen all of Mystic Force, but I forgot most of it pretty quickly, if I'm honest.
right,
Xander's memorable. I like him.
yes,
Honestly, most of the cast is pretty likable. I
yeah,
don't even dislike Nick.
right. It's
I'm
not
not
even
in
that
love with the guy, but
it's not even that I dislike Nick. It's just that he is the for me at least, he is the least interesting member on a team that has pretty memorable, likable characters. But since
that's
he's the
true.
red rank, what was that?
I was agreeing with you. That's actually
Right,
pretty true.
right. But since he's the Red Ranger, he by proxy gets a good. Ends up getting most of the development and most of the screen time, while everybody else basically has to fight for the scraps.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Like what was the Yellow Ranger? Chip?
Yeah, Chip. I like Chip. Chip's
I wanted more Chip.
Chip's
I
fun.
did too.
Yeah,
And-
Chip is fun. Chip's a good Yellow Ranger, you know. Yeah. He is not bad. He's a lot of fun. Heck, I would put Chip in second running of being Red Ranger.
Actually, that would be pretty interesting. And anyways, we are getting
Yeah,
we are getting way
We're getting
way
off topic.
off topic here. But I guess it will be interesting to see. Okay, wait. Okay. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember where I'm trying to remember where we left off before we went.
You were talking about how
expectations.
Power Rangers track record with anniversary seasons.
Yeah,
Yes.
mix. Yeah. So as of now, so far, kind of mixed at best. So I am hoping that that we can hopefully break the trend of anniversary seasons being incredibly divisive, or at the very least keep our to have reasonable expectations and not get so attached to the point where we end up being disappointed.
Sorry to cut y'all off, but hey, Law, my friend Lar.
Oh, hey, howdy.
Hello, Law.
Welcome to our show.
Howdy.
And like, there's no reason they can't make a good season for the 30th.
Right.
It's not like there's some kind of mystic curse on the franchise that stops it from doing so. There's just been a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
Certain creative decisions, sometimes, and yeah, sometimes even fan expectations. Because
Lar says happy to be here. Sorry to cut y'all off.
Happy to have you here.
Happy to have you.
Hope you're having
All right,
fun.
go ahead, Director.
Like, okay, you like.
Like
funny you
I
mentioned.
think from what I've seen of Wild Force, it's a pretty good season.
Yeah.
Yes.
I admittedly haven't seen the Animus stuff yet, but it's
skip
a
it if you
fun
can.
season, and I don't think I'm ever going to fully fall into the camp that sees it as a downgrade from Time Force, because as I've said in the past, I only like Time Force. I don't love it. The parts that are good, that are really good, are really good, but there's a lot of in between stuff that I find forgettable
Right.
and almost kind of dull.
Right. I dig Wild Force.
Yeah,
Honestly.
I dig it too.
Although it's kind of funny because each anniversary season has happened to come out at during either tumultuous or uncertain times in the franchise. So like with Turbo, the show's ratings kind of began to slump, and the formula of and the classic MMPR formula was like the sheen, like that the new car smell had worn off by then. So
Just as a brief aside, for the general ratings of Power Rangers had been going downhill for years before this.
right,
This was just kind of where it was really starting to look like a problem.
yeah. So there was
There was
that.
a misconception going around for a few years that Turbo nearly killed the franchise, and it's not that simple.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Then Wild Force ended up was a transitional season when the show stopped going on Fox Kids and on Fox, and then moved to ABC Family, and there was a strong chance that Disney was just going to end it after that. Operation Overdrive came out at the time when Disney went from being just being indifferent towards the franchise to actively trying to end it, which is why they started cutting the budget and episode count.
This was also in the middle of what they call the Bruce Kalish era.
Right.
If that's something that matters to the viewers.
Don't forget, this was the start of the Writers Guild strike era.
Actually, no. I think that was late 2007, going into 2008. I think.
So that would have been more to do with Jungle Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that. Then there was okay. I wouldn't really call Megaforce like a real point of I don't know if Megaforce came out during like a point of real upheaval or like or tumult for the franchise, but it's less than stellar reception probably contributed.
If I may at least give what I remember of that time period,
Go
Sure.
ahead.
I I don't hate Samurai. I actually have a soft spot for Samurai.
Oh no,
I
Samurai.
I don't I don't know that I'm ever going to sit down and watch the whole thing again, but
No,
I am
it
glad I am glad I sat through it. But this was also around the time. Oh no, wait, that was 2013. Never mind. But this was around the time I was starting to watch some older seasons. You know, Power Rangers is on Netflix, and my best friend and I started binge watching them. We
right,
did eventually finish Time Force this year. We
right.
skipped over Lightspeed Rescue for because we didn't have access. Long story, not important. But the oh god, what was my point?
I think you were. I think I was talking about how anniversary seasons kind of come have kind of come out during
Oh
the
right,
course of the franchise, and I think you were briefly mentioning Samurai, to which I think you were going. I think Samurai was kind.
Samurai didn't get a good start
No, but
because
no, it didn't have the
okay.
best. It had mixed reception, but it was very successful in ratings and merchandise. Like
Yeah,
Yes.
it
it,
was.
like
And hold on. Jack says, "What is your opinion on Dino Fury?"
oh yeah, we did it. We enjoy it. I think we
Yeah,
generally
we
enjoy
Yeah,
it
enjoy
so
it was
far.
pretty good.
But like
We
yeah,
enjoy it.
but yeah, Samurai might not have been like the most critically acclaimed season, but it was very successful. Wait, had strong ratings, very strong toy sales. They even got like a slot at the Macy's Day Parade. I remember that.
Yeah. And like I think this is something that we as fans need to do every so often. Sometimes, and I think I was about to fall into it here myself, we get so caught up talking to each other, almost sitting in little echo chambers on the internet, that we forget that what we think of isn't necessarily how the rest of the world views it.
Right.
You know, whatever any of us thinks about Samurai, like you were just saying, it was a success.
Well, yeah,
What can you
like
say?
from right. I think I would even go as far as to say that Samurai is the closest that any season has come that any season past MMPR has come to capturing the zeitgeist. Like for many people, Samurai is their MMPR. It is a season that a lot of people that introduced a lot of people to the show. It's a season that more and more people are like.
Now,
I don't know when it started, but Samurai is definitely becoming one of those seasons that people now look at with nostalgia because it has got which I don't know if that says
There are definitely worse properties that they could do that with.
right,
Like
right.
like I could sit here and talk about genuine flaws Samurai has, but you know what? Mighty Morphin Power Rangers wasn't perfect.
It wasn't.
it was not.
And for my money, who boy, it actually did start going real downhill in the second season once they ran out of Jew Ranger footage.
Yeah, it did.
And
Oh, yeah.
originally, the guy from VR Tubers was supposed to be the White Ranger, but because Tommy was so popular with the characters, they
Huh.
decided to bring him back.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't know it
God,
either, to be honest.
God, I forgot about that.
I mean,
Yeah,
it was probably a good decision. I remember watching White Light as a kid. It was
right.
it was big and surprising, and I had so much fun with it. I dressed up as the White Ranger for Halloween, two Halloweens in a row.
Wow. Hmm. Yeah. Um. So I guess I might have to slightly kind of. I guess we could make an exception for Megaforce because although the season was well didn't well I
Hold on.
probably won't be remembered as anybody's favorite. It did also have fairly strong ratings and viewership. Um, and then there was super. Then we go to Super Ninja Steel, which I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. There at that I think that by Ninja Steel a lot of the I think that by Ninja Steel, they were running into the problem of that new car smell running off as ratings kind of began to decline. Though you could
And like,
argue.
granted, they didn't. It's kind of interesting because they didn't have exactly the same problem Turbo did.
Not quite, no.
Like with Turbo, the issue for me was that they kept trying to pretend everything was the same, but kept swapping out for new characters. That like the new Rangers were fine, but all the new secondary characters, Alpha 6, Demetra, using Lieutenant Stone in place of Ernie, none of that really worked all that well for me.
It didn't.
It did not.
Especially
And-
Demetra, who I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin with Demetra. Yeah. She wa-
Now, here's the thing, though, about Demetra. I didn't mind a female.
Oh no. Oh no. The problem isn't the fact that Demetra was like a female mentor. The problem, I guess, was how they handled her. Like, I get that the Rangers were at a point where I get that they didn't just want her to be Rule 63 Zordon, but at the same time, and that they encourage the Rangers to solve problems and figure things out on their own. The problem is that she ends up being she's useless. She kind of ends up being feeling like a superfluous character in the season. Never actually contributes to anything. Never really contributes to anything that's going on in any current episode. Almost always answers any question with a riddle.
She's just kind of there.
Yeah, kind of there.
She feels like placeholder Zordon.
Right, and then
this is the last time until Gosei that they would have a Zordon-like mentor, unless you count the first few episodes of RPM, which is clearly doing something different with the concept.
Right.
And the thing is, Zordon was so entrenched, so iconic, no one you directly replaced him with was going to go over well.
Right.
And that it ended up being a character who, now that I've actually seen Turbo, I still struggle to think of anything Demetria has said or done.
Like in general, or set that contributes to the plot.
Both.
Right. I mean, it probably doesn't help that at the end of Turbo, when crap hits the fan, she basically just says, "Peace out."
Yeah.
Like, okay, now that I think about it, it's just like I hear a lot of people complaining about how did Divatox and the Piranhatrons take out the Turbo Rangers, and here's my take on it is this: like I think it kind of makes sense that I think a lot of people tend to forget about how the Rangers in the back half of Turbo were rookies, inexperienced rookies who were new to this and hadn't really done this before, which makes it all the more, I guess I want to say, darkly comical when they're already pretty unhelpful mentor, unhelpful mentor. Pretty much dips
in space.
With the
out
Blue
into their
Centurion, like with the Blue Centurion with her, no less.
Right, just like they've lost their rescue Zords. They've lost the rescue Zords. They've lost the rescue Zords. The Piranatrons are about to storm the base, and then you got Dimitri, who's all like, well, I can't really do anything here. Peace out. Oh, by the way, I'm taking the Blue Centurion with me. Have fun.
Hold on. Demetria left before they knew Divatox was invading.
Right.
And the one thing I absolutely still am irked about is that Divatox didn't even know where the power chamber was.
Right.
Until that exact time.
That's be honest.
I can overlook the Rangers being overwhelmed by the Piranatrons since again they're rookies and they're being thrown headfirst into the deep end.
And if you remember back to Mighty Morphin Season 1, during the 5-parter Green with Evil, the thing that really sent the Rangers, really made it feel like they were being pushed to their limits was that for most of it, they weren't able to contact Zordon. They were on their
Right.
own.
Right.
So, like, Rangers did tend to struggle without their mentor figures, and then Power Rangers in Space lean into that hard.
Right.
Anyway, Ninja Steel had a different sort of problem because, each installment of the Neo Saban era had a different status quo, different set of characters. You
Hmm.
didn't have a weird situation where Dr. Kendall Morgan was awkwardly replaced with Lieutenant Stone. That's not a thing.
Right.
But at the same time, it more or less felt like someone high up in Saban at the time kind of had a vision for the kind of vibe they wanted out of Power Rangers.
Hmm.
And a lot of that did feel like they were trying too hard to recapture Mighty Morphin.
Yep.
And by the time they got to Ninja Steel and Super Ninja Steel, it's just like we're kind of over it.
Yeah.
And like Ninja Steel is not even devoid of good elements.
Right. It's not even bad. It's not that Ninja Steel is bad. It's just the most. It just feels like the most go. It just feels like the most going through the motion season so far. Even more so than Turbo in the first half.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. As much as Turbo felt weird, I don't think going through the motions is an entirely accurate assessment of it.
Right. Like it even by Turbo even even with the thing about Turbo is like even during that rocky first half before the power transfer, it at least tried to tried doing new and unique things. Like
Hmm.
actually tried to do it tried it experimented. Most of those experiments is most of it took risks. Most of them didn't pay out, but it was willing to do new things even if they didn't pay off. With Ninja
Yeah,
Steel,
I'll respect it for that.
like the one thing, Ninja Steel for better or worse just feels very safe in ways both good and bad. It doesn't it's not trying to be well it wants to tell this big lofty and ambitious story about the rate about this it's weird. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like it wants to be lofty and ambitious with with the space themed villains and the setup for the Red Ranger, but it also feels very safe, very intimate, and very it wants to do something big, but it handles it in a very safe and low key way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and a friend of mine was talking to me, and he basically said his issue with Ninja Steel is it felt like a lot of the stories were kind of introduced and then resolved really quickly.
Yeah, it feels like what it almost feels like watching a Nick Jr. show. This like this doesn't feel like Power Rangers. This doesn't feel like Power Rangers. It feels like Power Rangers on Nick Jr. almost.
And
To
like
me,
again, there are good elements. Like
Right.
I always forget his name, Mick
Yeah.
Camp. I
Yeah.
like him. He's a
Right.
good mentor.
Right.
yes,
I'm sorry, Dante. I think you were about to say something.
yes, and that reminds me of Scooby Doo. Now,
Okay.
All
after
right. Okay.
Uploading Scooby Doo ended, they were about to cancel the franchise as a whole.
Hmm?
Needed to be too kid friendly, too safe. But that's the whole point of Scooby Doo, kid friendly. But
Uh,
until like Zombie Island, till
Okay.
Scooby
Oh.
Doo
Okay.
Island
Right.
came
Right.
on, came on, you know the game has changed. So
Right. Right.
for a few years there, things were kind of different with Scooby Doo, and then they kind of went right back to how things were because that's kind of a problem you're going to run into with certain long running franchises. They will, no matter how they experiment, they're always going to snap back eventually. And
Yes.
it can be bad because it can be bland and boring, but it can also be fun and comforting in the right ways.
Yes.
But I
agree.
also think Power Rangers has a unique ability to avoid that if they want to, because like with Scooby Doo, you have the same core 5 characters. Everyone has a vague idea of who Velma is, and each series has to basically establish, are they just doing generic Velma? Are they trying to do something new with Velma? Each new season of Power Rangers introduces a new set of characters with
Right.
new opportunities and new room for stories. And as much as I didn't like that as a kid, I've really come to appreciate it because, yeah, a lot of the problems with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was just it went on too long with no clear idea of where it was going.
Right.
And like it didn't need to go anywhere at the time, but if it was going to exist past its initial run, it kind of needed one. It needed a place to go.
Yes.
I think that's why Zeo did better than season 3 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah, it did something. It felt it made the show feel fresh again, for lack of a better term.
Heck, even rewatching through it as an adult, it was just nice to see Sentai fight footage again.
Right. I know.
Yes.
It's such a small thing, but when you've been missing it for a couple years, it adds up.
Right. You don't really realize. You don't really think about how. I guess how. I'm trying to think of what I want to say. Like how much how I don't want to say cheap, but frugal. Those the first 3 seasons. The first 3 seasons of the last season. The last couple of seasons were for MMPR until you get to Zeo.
And it's like, oh god, we can use actual fight footage again.
Right.
And it
And
felt
like
so good.
it's almost kind of funny because, as is pretty common knowledge now, Power Rangers was originally only supposed to run those first 40 episodes, but it was so huge that not only did they make more, they commissioned new Sentai footage from Toei, which,
Right.
who boy, that had to cost a decent penny.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
Power Rangers is in the middle of that zeitgeist, and so they were able to get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, again, as I said, without a clear direction and also not taking care of its staff of its stars properly, leading to some awkward switch outs at points.
Right.
It just kind of started to drag, and when the new Jew Ranger footage ran out, and they were having to come up with some, let's charitably call them creative solutions. Eh.
Yeah.
And Jack says 10 episodes of Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers and their voices always sounds like they're underwater.
Yeah. I never really. I always. Okay. I get that they're from a. I get that they're what. I get that their whole thing is that they're aquatic aliens, but yeah, that they get a little bit grating after a while.
For a
Yeah.
10-episode season starring alien ninjas, that really should have been a lot more fun than it was.
Yeah.
It should have been.
Oh, and also a minor problem. I don't see this brought up a lot when talking about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but as is commonly known, the second and third seasons are loosely adapted from Go Sager and Kaku Ranger.
Kaku Ranger and what's it called? Die Ranger, I think.
Oh yeah. Gosei Sentai Dai Ranger. I there's also a Go Sager. That's a different season entirely.
Right.
But like those 2 seasons, I've seen them. I rather enjoy them. They're pretty fun seasons. But most of their giant robot fights are crap.
Right.
Like they form the giant robot, they'll trade a few token punches with the monster, then go in for the finishing blow. That episode after episode.
It got
And
old
when,
after a while.
and when translated to Power Rangers, when even the monster fights weren't that good anymore, especially in season 2, like there were a lot of episodes where they'd cut to Die Ranger footage of a monster attacking, and then cut to American footage of the Rangers reacting, and it is just not the same. It is boring.
It's very
And
noticeable.
and for like a good couple dozen episodes, the most exciting part of it was the fight with the putties. And even Ron Wasserman's songs were starting to grate on me by the end of season 2.
I'm sure, I'm pretty sure. Well, if there was anybody watching this who happened to be fans of NPR, I'm okay. For those of you still watching who are for anybody for any NPR fans currently watching this who we haven't alienated. um,
Well, it's not like there's nothing good going on. There are
Right.
some memorable episodes. Season 3, while the original fight footage they made never did quite, uh, they got better with fights in future seasons, and the Tenga song got old really quickly.
oh God, I got sick of it after the first episode.
Hey, don't disrespect Tenga Bye Bye. That song was bop.
Oh,
I
it's a
didn't-
good song.
It's
But-
fine, but it's like
Remember, in the second season or the last part of the first season, they had like a arrangement of like 5 or 6 different songs that they swap between. But in season 3, every episode let a Tinga song. It gets old.
right. It's like hearing a song on the radio. It's like hearing a song on the. It's like hearing a song on the radio on loop on like on a
Uh-huh.
listen. Right.
Like the episode where they introduced the shark cycles and they have a song that they play just for that one episode was like a breath of fresh air.
Right.
But anyway, the season did have a lot of memorable and actually pretty good long-running storylines.
Right.
Like Lord Zed basically forcing them to allow him inside the command center. That's a good moment.
Right.
Yes.
Really, it depends. Point, but we'll see what. So we'll see. We'll see what they. We'll see what they do with him in the back half of Dino Fury.
Oh, you know what? Dante's friend Larks actually brought up a point. We
Hmm?
kind of glossed over Alpha 6, but he's actually a surprisingly unique character in fiction.
Right.
And
Yeah, he
what
was
I
a
mean-
little rude until in space.
I didn't care much for the character. Didn't care much for the character until they, toned down the. Maybe it was the accent, but I didn't really care too much for Alpha 6 and Turbo.
as a kid, I just thought he was trying too hard.
I did too.
Mind you, I was kind of a pretentious kid, and I thought that wrongly about a lot of things, but I think I was right about Alpha 6.
Right.
And what's fascinating to me is most of the time when you bring in a character who's basically like the same character that was just replaced, he's destined to be remembered poorly.
Right.
But then Alpha 6 tries something new in Turbo. It's annoying and everyone hates it. Then in space, he basically turns into a clone of Alpha 5 and everyone starts to like him, where he
Right.
would otherwise just be hated for being the replacement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Funny how that works out. I think we have. I think is there anything that we missed or didn't cover?
Okay, let's see. Cosmic
I think
Fury
we've covered this with everything.
may or may not be adapted from Q Ranger, may or
Mhm.
may not have Lord Zed as the final boss, which, hey, all of that could be wrong. Keep your expectations in check and just see where they go. Try and have fun with it. Hope it's good.
Right. Now, Actually, no. I had an idea for like first doing like I guess final thoughts and predictions before 903 season 2, but we can do that. We can do that in a later show.
Yeah, I give me
Later
time to catch
show,
up on the
yeah.
last few episodes. I'm
Right.
almost done.
Yeah. Actually, and I think that might be a good segue for us to sign off.
I do believe we've covered everything.
Yes, it will
Right.
be. Yeah, we covered everything. So that's gonna
Man,
be it
we
for
actually had a
season one,
we
episode
had a
22.
pretty. I'm sorry. I was just gonna say we had a pretty active comment section for once.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yes. Thank you very much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
any kind of. We
thank you
appreciate it.
guys. Yes, and that's gonna be it for episode 22 of the Power Rangers podcast. Leave a like on this video if you like it. Please comment on it and subscribe to my YouTube channel and get notified every time I upload a new video or when I go stream. All right. Thank you, Laura, Jack, for being part of this. Hey, no problem, Jack. Thank you for sharing my opinions. Oh, you're welcome, Jack. You're welcome. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon to get notified every time I upload a new video when I go streaming. Thank you, Jack and Laura, for being part. I always wanted to say this. Back to the action.
Ah.
I missed that.
Yeah, I love that too. Miss
Yeah.
that too. So what are we doing next week here?
No, not next week. Next show, whenever that
Okay.
is.
Next
So
show.
I was thinking that for that we could try to get the next episode done before September 29th, so that we could do like a pre-show for the back half of Dino Fury season 2. So like our thoughts, our predictions, our expectations, stuff like that.
Well, I can easily have the. I can easily be caught up on the show by next Monday. So
Either that. Okay, so just to be safe, we'll do it either on the 19th or 26th. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to do to cover the last 11 episodes on a weekly basis. So okay, we'll cross the bridge when we get to it. But the next episode will be like a pre-show for Dino Fury season 2.
Yes, of course.
well,
And
if we don't have anything for next week, did we want to do another episode retrospective?
Possibly, we'll think about it.
yeah, we'll think about that. You know,
If you got, if hey, you listeners, if any of you have an episode you'd really like to see covered, there is a comment section. Hint, hint,
Yeah.
wink, wink.
Yes.
we want to know, what do you want to see in that? What do you want an episode that we can cover on? What and all that good stuff. Well, this was a fun one. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. Until we see you all again next time, may the power protect you.
Always.
Almost.
Bye, everybody.